Sorry, my phone messed up. There was a lot of positivity, positive comments, and like I even took screenshots. But there was this one comment from somebody that basically said, they disacknowledged everything that I was talking about. It just had to do with homelessness. So this individual just posted on there and said, what did he do? He like probably, I think he like copy pasted something off Indeed of like a construction job or something and said, hiring at construction, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's not that hard to get a job and this and this and that. Just automatically assuming that I don't have a job, or that I'm still homeless, or that I'm homeless in general just because I'm talking about homelessness. But obviously, I have been homeless and have a lot of lived experience with that. But my homelessness was never from a drug addiction or alcoholism or anything like that. I've been on my own since I was 14 years old, you know what I mean? And, I grew up around bad influences. My dad, he had me selling drugs at an early age, selling cocaine, crack, and answering the door and making sales and learning how to cook coke into crack cocaine, using baking soda, etc., etc. Um, when I was like 14, 15 years old, by 15, I had a criminal record, you know, um, there was guns in my house where I lived because my dad, he did 10 years in Collins Bay Penitentiary, and he had people around from the pen, and, they live a certain type of lifestyle. And I was just a kid, so this is my life. So I'm like, okay. So I knew where the gun was, and they would have hide guns in the house, and they were selling drugs, and they were cooking it, and they were teaching me at the same time. So that's the type of, just an idea of the, environment that I grew up in personally. And there's a lot of us that grew up like that, you know what I mean? And, my dad ended up dying when I was 18, and then I went to jail as an adult, and I had a criminal record all throughout that time because that was just the life that I was inherited into, and I did what I had to do to survive, and I did what I was told as a kid, to be honest, from 14 up, right? So, it caused a lot of damage in the way that I think, the way that I feel, you know what I mean, that I'm just working on now. In my life, it's like the biggest thing in my life right now is actually, it sounded so corny, all the time hearing, oh, working on yourself, whatever, like, you know what I mean, whatever. I was still pissed off, and I was still feeling ripped off in life, and I felt like, uh, it makes you want to, I don't know, it changes your perspective, that's for sure, on the system in society, and the system in society also has a perspective on you as well. And it's such a blind spot that where this stigma is created out of this ignorance, that the unawareness, I don't want to say ignorance, like unawareness of really what could possibly happen to a person and how it could affect them to be able to function in society as a normal person and maintain and provide for themselves, and how much of a disadvantage they're actually at, that society can't see, and they all think that they're on the same level, and they can compare themselves and say, oh well, see, I got a job when I was 15, and I worked all the way up until now, and I got a house, and all this prideful mentality that I've had because I was working and making, working the 9 to 5 job and making money, and I started to get prideful and saying the same thing. I started to get like that too at one point in time. So I understand that mentality and know where it comes from. And it comes from a place of trauma as well, a place of pain, that how much trauma and pain that somebody has to go through just in order to survive, right? So, but people don't understand. Most people had a foundation to start from. How are you going to go to work at 15 years old and work when you don't have a foundation? You don't have nowhere to sleep. Where are you waking up? Where did you think you were waking up, and where did you think you were showering that night in order for you to get up to go? Oh, go to the shelter? Oh, okay, yeah, I'm just going to go to the shelter where there are really actually messed up people that, you know what I mean? You get preyed on in the streets, okay, by demons, man. Not only like in so many ways since I was a teenager, man. Even I was preyed on sexually when I was a kid, you know what I mean? Like 15, 16 years old, I was in the street and cars pull up, and like dudes that are dressing up as a woman but as a man, hitting, like pulling up on me in a car trying to like tell me to get in, and weird shit like that. Like, you know what I mean? It's fucked up. Like, and it makes you a different person. Like, you know what I mean? It makes you have to become evil to survive, and then all of a sudden you're the enemy to society, and you're the enemy to the law and to the system. But really, you're a victim, and you have this trauma, and you're trying to survive. In order to survive, you have to break the law, and you actually have to change your mentality almost into a sickened, demonic state of unwellness in order to survive. And it's so negative and so evil and violent. um, you become the bad guy. So just to go into that state of mind was hell. You know what I mean? Just to live like that, it weighs on the soul. Some people lose their minds and completely start to enjoy it, and it becomes a pleasure to be psychotic and demonic and be a criminal and get off on that type of a lifestyle. And I've experienced that myself and came out of it and was grateful and lucky to be alive, and can't believe I was in such a dark place. But I was there. I remember sitting in a jail cell, for 30 days, and you know what I mean, for a whole month, and then my dad dying, and then getting another month on top of it, missing the funeral because I had to go to court. Like, so there's a lot involved that people can't see. So that's an issue, because I don't. One thing that I learned about homelessness is it was like I was getting bullied by every. Like, honestly, like I'm a pretty reasonable, logical dude. You know what I mean? But straight up, I already got picked on when I was a kid. I got a birthmark on my face. Until I got tough and I started fighting back and I started winning. You know what I mean? And that's honestly how I remember my life. Is I was a shy, scared kid. I got beat up, I got jumped, I got robbed, I got, picked on and taken advantage of, and called names because I have, a birthmark on my face. Just stupid stuff like that, like simple things like that as a kid, right? It doesn't seem like a big deal, but when you're a kid, it's traumatizing. And you also have to defend yourself, a lot. And like I said, man, I grew up like that. And then I started fighting back and winning. But I had to turn into a psycho from all the abuse that I went through from people, and the abuse I was going through living at home and around, alcoholism and violence. And, it's just people don't get to see this stuff. Um, Nobody's ever really recorded stuff like this. Well, maybe there has been, but it's not really brought out to the light as much. So I just think there needs to be more of it, and it's hard to talk about. I don't want to talk about this stuff, but if it's going to help somebody and make people think, and also stop somebody from preying on somebody that's weaker than them or going through a hard time in life. Because even when I was going to jail and robbing and stealing and stuff, my mentality was take from the rich and give to the poor. Like, I'm going to the rich people that have too much money, that can afford to take a loss. I'm not taking off people that are working hard, just trying to scrape by, because we live in a corrupt system, in a world where everything's about greed, and that's why things are the way that they are. But we accept them as is, and we just think that this is fair. But it's like an illusion. But society can't see that because they're just too busy trying to survive. And just we're all just trying to survive. So, but if we really take a minute to think about it, man, that's really, there's a lot of things going on. So I just wanted to make a point by that. You can't really see what's going on. I started learning too, man. I've been through that state of mind so many times, and different things that I went through. I'm 28 years old, and just in that amount of time, how much I've been through since I was a 15-year-old kid, man. It's mind altering. I got so lucky. One of my best friends literally lost their mind to mental illness, like completely, like lost their minds to mental illness. And I don't know, didn't even know what that was, mental illness, until I seen my friend deteriorate and forget who I am. So I was like, well, how can this happen? The kid doesn't even do drugs. You know what I mean? So he didn't even do drugs, and we grew up in the same, and I looked out for him. I protected him, in the streets, because where I grew up, it was tough, and we were out there together, and we just ran the streets, but he was a little bit, more of a, so to speak, in street language, more of a target than I was. So I would stick up for him, and he would roll with me. But to see that happen, my dad died, my first love dying from drugs, you know what I mean? So after I lived a life where I started off as a kid selling drugs, I started losing people to drugs. and then it hit me, in a, where it hurts. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, then I was like, I can't participate in this. And if anything, I was creating karma for myself that I didn't even recognize was happening, and it's critical, and it's, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right. And I became poor, you know what I'm saying? Because I stopped selling drugs, and like, and I couldn't get a job, and like nobody would hire me, and nobody would rent to me. Like, it was a nightmare. And I'm like, yo, I'm a pretty good looking, sharp young man, pretty, you know what I'm saying? I don't do drugs. I don't, like, you know what I'm saying? But it was like, I did the roofing, I did the construction, I did dishwashing, and so I could always cling on to that stuff, you know what I mean? But I just started to break down, man, like, from all of that stuff, man. I just couldn't hold myself up anymore. I just, and also, I fell on my arm and broke some rotary thing or something like that. I don't even know what you call it. And like, they want to do a surgery. And this was years ago, I was supposed to do a surgery. Never got the surgery. My arm just falls out. Even if I got surgery, I don't know, man. Like, it's like a permanent disability. Like, it, I couldn't, that's my right arm, you know what I'm saying? So I don't even like to talk about that, because I don't even want somebody to know that I have, like, a messed up arm. But yeah, literally, it's been a pain, for a long time, and it hurts all the time, and it just pops out sometimes. Like, it's like if you went to go throw a ball, but your whole arm just popped out from like up in here. It just slides out. I can't even lay on that side or anything, but I was trying to pick up, like, a bucket. What was it, bucket of nails or something? Usually I could do that, you know what I mean? Boom, pops out. Now I gotta go to the hospital, and they're like, if you keep, re-breaking it over and over again, you could lose mobility in your arm. So yeah, I was like, all right. So I just got defeated, man, like, and I was like, yo, got depressed. I was like, yo, I'm dead, like, now I'm like broken physically. You know what I mean? Like, I thought it was like, and it was for a long time, but I tried to make the best out of it. I tented, I stayed out of the shelters, because people are sick in there, people are not well, there's people going through addictions, there's all types of stuff. You don't want to get influenced by that, because it will literally destroy you and deteriorate you. And why would you stick yourself in a situation when you're vulnerable, when you're going through the worst time of your life, in a situation that could cause you to fail? Like, why would you do that? Nobody would do that. You don't want to play with fire, you get burnt, right? So you got to stay away from those influences, regardless if you're homeless. Sometimes I had to go through it, and I did, and it, it was tough, it was bad, so I was like, I have to find a new way to survive if I'm going to be homeless. So I went to the tenting and staying by myself, and I've never, it's, the only thing that I've done during my homelessness was like smoking weed, and like drink once in a while. Like, I don't even have a desire for alcohol, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not even interested. When I was young, I was smashing 60 pounders, you know what I mean? I got them for like $20. Like, I had the, you know what I mean? So it was like, I maxed that out in my life early as a teenager, and I didn't want nothing to do with it, right? So it was like, even that, right? I'm just trying to think and go back, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to help people understand and see homelessness, and see what could happen to anybody, man, in a different view, because people are being pure ignorant to me, saying the most ignorant things out of just complete lack of understanding and experience. Like, you just completely wrong. They're 100% wrong, and they can't see it, but they're so confident in their position, and it almost is sickening, at the same time really sad. And how can I not reason with this individual to show them that they're wrong? But like, it's the people that have the lived experience that hold that truth, and without them delivering it, or at least the other side being willing to listen to it, it'll never happen, and people will continue to live in that way, being wrong. And that can't happen. We're better than that as humans. We're supposed to evolve and do what's right. You know what I'm saying? In the end of the day, that's just the human nature. Like, if you've seen somebody falling off a cliff, wouldn't you try and grab them and save them? Of course you would. If you've seen a kid that was going to get hurt, wouldn't you try and save the kid? Of course you would. It's a natural instinct. Like, or a kitten that's going to cross the road and get hit by a car. Of course you're going to save it. You know what I mean? But that's your nature inside. Even evil people, Even dudes that are doing life for killing people, bro, have that in them. You know what I mean? So there's got to be a way that we can reason and we can show each other instead of tell each other, you know? But even me, I'm just learning now how to respond differently, you know, because people were trying to bash me when I'm telling you, yo, I really live this. This is not a joke, eh? Like, you know what I mean? And you're gonna tell me, that makes me want to become violent, angry, and tell this person off. But if I do that, they don't get the message, and they really don't believe what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So I create more stigma. I create more resistance by doing that. So I just started realizing that at this age, and I'm like, man, I can't contribute to the same issue that I'm dealing with or that I'm becoming a victim of or I'm experiencing because, bro, I don't like bullies. Like I said, I'm the guy that punches the bullies out, man. Like, and if I'm gonna get bullied, you're trying to bully the wrong person, man. Like, I'm just doing me. I'm trying to get out of this. I am not a piece of shit. I'm not uh, a drug addict. I'm not an alcoholic. You know what I mean? Like, and people are treating me like that and oh, congratulations for being continuing to stay sober. It's like a circus. It's like a. Could you imagine like if everywhere you went and everybody treated you and said that you were a drug dealer and like or sorry a drug user and you're like yo like I don't do drugs, I never done drugs, and they're like yeah I understand, it's okay, you haven't dealt with your sobriety issues yet, I understand. Could you imagine? Like that's like some reverse psychology. Like people are saying this to me and I'm like yo I just want to punch all these people out, like straight up. Like if somebody says that to me again I'm smashing them out. Like that's how I started getting like you know what I mean? Because but look at where that trauma comes. That's from the trauma that I've been through of going through that all of my life and everything that I went through. So it turned into that aggression, you know. But you know, I'm getting older, so you know nobody wants to be pissed off forever. You know what I'm saying? So I guess I would like to use my experience in life to try to empower other people and show that there's got to be a way out of this and there's got to be a way uh, to change the way that things are right now, you know what I mean? So, I mean, there's been revolutionary times in the world, so I believe in that. So, I mean, I still am going to have faith and hope, while I'm on this earth, you know what I mean? So, but anyways, yeah, like, I don't know why people automatically assume, but, no matter what, like, I've done all types of different work, you know what I mean? But I knew that, like, there's got to be something that I can do in this world that I'm passionate about, but everybody just says, no, that's not how life is. You got to be miserable and just work and earn and come back and pay your bills and be broke and then just do that every day for the rest of your life. And I'm like, okay, I'm like, life has already been hell. So I'm like, how can I make life better? If I could, I will and am willing to do that, but then to save that money and invest in myself in some other way that's going to get me somewhere farther than just that life, because I could never be content with that. I'm an artist, I make music, I have big dreams, I believe, I have big aspirations, and I'm like, I can see things differently, from what I've been through, and in the desire to want the most out of life because you came from the least, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's the drive, that's where it's coming from, right? So anyway, sorry I'm ranting right now, I'm just trying to think, I'm just going through all these experiences and I'm like trying to think of a way that I can do things in the right way. But yeah, man, stigma is real. There's a blind spot. There's a lot of ignorance going on or unawareness, and I'm just trying to advocate for it from my own experience. I don't talk from what I haven't done, you know. So that's about it, man. Corey Resilient. Share this video if you liked it. Hit the like button. I guess that makes YouTube share it to more people or suggest it. So that'd be nice. I haven't had any movements in the YouTube for a while, but and just kind of trying to be a voice for people, man, out there, because I never thought I could just say say a lot of this stuff or be a guy that to be holding the camera and talking to myself on a phone, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm old school. Like, I was born in 91, I'm 28, so I'm still old school, so it's weird, it's awkward, you know what I mean? But I got used to it over the last couple of years doing my YouTube stuff, So make sure you subscribe. Bam, check that out. But anyways, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, man. Just try to see that, not everybody chooses their circumstances, and it can affect you for the rest of your life and take you for the rest of your life to heal from a lot of things. And it's gonna burden your ability to function like everybody else. So don't expect everybody else to be able to do what you can do. You know what I'm saying? People have been through things that you haven't been through, and I thought I was right about a lot of stuff in my life, but I found out I was wrong about a lot of stuff in my life too, that I was real confident and I was pretty damn sure. I was pretty damn you know what I'm saying? I was serious about it, you know what I mean? And I found myself to be humbled in situations like that a couple of times. But so I'm a little bit more cautious, I still got my cockiness and arrogance once in a while here and there. It's built into me, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm more cautious because, I remember that feeling. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, yo, peace out. Take care.